The first thing to notice with this problem is that we have an on-center, off-surround setup. On-center. There's two ways that we know that. The first is that the center is colored yellow. The second is this node right here. This cell is the bipolar cell. It can have two configurations, and it determines whether a setup is on-center or off-center. To explain it, we have two rules that we need to remember. The first is that light will always cause a decrease in glutamate. Glutamate is the neurotransmitter, the signaler that's going to be transmitting our action potentials. And this rule is referring to these three cells right here. So what happens is the center receives light. That causes a decrease in glutamate release right here. And then the bipolar cells take the decrease in glutamate and translate it into an increase in action potentials. That's what defines an on-center cell. So when we have light, we have an increase in action potentials. If we have an on-center, we have to have an off-surround. The reason it's opposite is because of this inversion right here. The signal from the surround cells come down and over, and it passes through this flip before it gets to there. Let's talk about that really quick. There's another rule that we need to know. These cells are called horizontal cells. The second rule is that an increase in glutamate will always cause more depolarizations of the horizontal cells. To cause this inhibition, they release GABA. So we can say an increase in glutamate always precedes an increase in GABA. Or in other words, if we put these two laws together, we can say that light, which gives us a decrease in glutamate, also gives us a decrease in GABA. Okay. With our off-surround, it's just opposite of the on-center. Light, instead of giving us action potentials, does not give us action potentials. First, let's look at it as if we weren't messing with the GABA. For visualization purposes and for helping us understand the concepts, we assign 60% of the action potentials to come from the center and 40% to come from the sides, 20% on each side. If we were looking at this without messing with GABA, our on-center, we would have action potentials generated because we have light. Our off-center, on the right side, would not have action potentials generated because it was light. But the left side would have action potentials generated. And so if we change the 60% into 6 and the 20% into 2, 60 plus 2 is 8. That is if we weren't looking at GABA. We're essentially getting rid of GABA. A GABA antagonist will bind to the GABA receptor and not do anything. And so it's as if we got rid of all the GABA. In other words, it's as if we made the entire thing light. And so, if we recount them, if this part was light, it would not cause action potentials. If the center was light, it does cause action potentials. And if the left side was light, it would not cause action potentials, just like the right. So the correct answer for this problem is D.